Welcome, UCL fans, to our unofficial Week 1 review for Season 2 of the United Championship League. I am your host, Nintendo Fanatic 64, and I am here to tell you I have watched all the matches, I have crunched the numbers, and I am here to give you what I believe is a fair and accurate rating system. Now, before we get into that, if you do enjoy this video, please leave it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comment section below as well which match you enjoyed the most this last weekend for it. And I also want to say thank you all for the people that do enjoy this video. I do this for fun, and I truly appreciate all the support that I have been getting. So, before we get into the actual rankings, we're going to first start by taking a look at the matches that took place this last week. So we start off with the Newcastle Nido Kings versus the Manchester Magnazones. And it was a 5-0 victory for the Newcastle Nido Kings. MVP of the match goes to the Mega Diancie from the Newcastle Nido Kings, who managed to get 5 knockouts this week. Up next, we have the Pittsburgh Pichus taking on the Carolina Keldios, and it was a 5-0 victory for the Pittsburgh Pichus. MVP of the match goes to the Azumarill from the Pittsburgh Pichus, who managed to get a sweep of the rest of the team with 5 knockouts after setting up with Belly Drum. Up next, we have the Tulsa Talonflames taking on the Real Marills, and it was a 3-0 victory for the Real Marills. MVP of the match will go to Mamoswine from the Real Marills, who managed to get the last 2 knockouts in the match, one of which was after it had fainted to its own life orb damage and just took out the last one with Stealth Rocks. Up next, we have the Grand Canyon Greninjas taking on the Long Island Regirockies. It was a 4-0 victory for the Long Island Regirockies. MVP of the match goes to Weavile from Long Island, who managed to get 3 knockouts this week. Up next, we have the Bronx Beartigs taking on the South Beach Slow Kings, and it was a 3-0 victory for the Bronx Beartigs. MVP of the match goes to the Kiram Black from the Bronx Beartigs, who managed to get 3 knockouts this week. After that, we have the Philadelphia Feraligators taking on the Durham Druttiguns, and it was a 3-0 victory for the Durham Druttiguns. MVP of the match goes to Shaman from Durham, who managed to get 3 knockouts this week. But I would also like to have honorable mentions to the Milotic from Philadelphia, who actually helped make that game into a 3-0 match. Up until that point, it almost looked like it was going to be a 6-0 sweep for the Durham Druttiguns, but thanks to the defensive power of Milotic and the good moveset that it was put on it, it managed to hold on its own for a while, taking out some of the top mons from the team on that one. After that, we have the Toronto Togekiss taking on the Bristol City Blazekins, and it was a 2-0 victory for the Toronto Togekiss. MVP of the match goes to Jirachi from Toronto, who actually managed to get all 6 knockouts for the Toronto Togekiss by managing to play the flinch hack game for it. Is letting us know once again why the heated mode coach of the Toronto Togekiss is known as the Hacks God himself. And then to the final match, which I'm going to be now referring to. I'll be doing these every week in my preview matches. Special shout out to Wayne Bond, who suggested this. I will be doing a kind of hype match of the week. So every week we'll have one match that I think is going to be the one that we should all look at the most, or at least will be one of the better matches to see. So this week it was the Tucson Terrakions taking on the St. Louis Rampardos, which was of course the last match for those two teams in Week 15 of Season 1. It was a 3-0 victory, though, for the St. Louis Rampardos. MVP of the match goes to Excadrill from St. Louis, who managed to get 3 knockouts this week. So that does it for our recap. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the rankings now. Because it is only Week 1, there's going to be a lot of ties for the different places in there. I do go by a differential score, of course. Now, the way that my differential is set up is a team earns a point every time they knock out a Pokemon. They lose a point every time one of their Pokemon gets knocked out. And if a Pokemon gets knocked out due to something such as recoil damage or life orb damage, the opposing team will not get the victory for that knockout because they did not technically knock it out. So, tied for 15th place, we have the Carolina Keldios and the Manchester Magnazones. Of course, the first several teams will have records of 0-1. The differential score for these two teams was a -5. Tied for 13th place, we have the Tulsa Talonflames and the Grand Canyon Greninjas, who have a differential score of -4. Up next, we have a three-way tie for 10th place between the Philadelphia Fur Alligators, the South Beach Slow Kings, and the Tucson Terrakions, with a differential score of -1. And in ninth place, we have the Bristol City Blazekins with a differential score of -2. The remaining teams won their matches this week. So in eighth place, we have the Toronto Tokakis, whose differential score is 2. And in a 5-way tie for third place right now, with a differential score of 3, we have the St. Louis Rampardos, the Real Maril, Long Island Reggie Rockies, Durham Drotaguns, and the Bronx Bearticks. And then finally, with a differential score of 5, tied for first place after week 1, we have the Pittsburgh Pichus and the Newcastle Nido-Kings. Now, of course, this is only week 1. By next week, we should start seeing a little bit more separation of the teams as far as by differential as well as their win-loss record for it. But this is a pretty exciting start. I'm very excited that this is going on once again. If you do enjoy, let me know down below as well what team you are rooting for this season in the UCL. There are a lot of great teams, and who knows what's going to be with this. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. On Friday, I will be back doing my team previews for the matchup, or the weekend previews for it, as well as discussing any trades that may have happened as well. I know some of the trades have already happened by this point, but I'm going to try and wait it out and see if there are any more trades, at least before I do the recording. I don't believe that there will be, but we'll just have to wait and see for it. But thank you all very much for watching. You have yourselves a good day. Take care. Bye.